Good morning, bakers, and welcome back. You have to excuse my appearance. I'm not long woke up, but I wanted to get our croissants out and get them all shaped up so that I can have them for my breakfast. So let's get on with it. We need some flour for our surface. Sprinkle a bit of flour on your kitchen surface or your table or whatever you are using. Spread that out a little bit, and we're going to get our croissant dough out and wake it up and see how it's doing. So let's do it. Oh my god, it's like a pillow. Oh, look at it. How much is puffed up. It's trying to like break out of its cling film. But that's good, it means it's risen a bit, but it's nice and cold and chilled and rested. Now what you will need is a couple of baking trays to put your croissants on, because once we've shaped them, we're going to need to leave them to prove and rest so that they can fluff up, ready to go into the oven. So I'm going to be using 2 large baking trays like this, and I'm going to line both of them with baking paper because your croissants will want to stick. So take it from me, you want a bit of lining on there so that you can manoeuvre them around. Second bit of paper lining on there. Let's get them all lined up. Because what we will be doing is shaping our croissant, then we will be placing them onto our baking trays, putting them in a plastic bag or covering them with cling film and leaving them to rise, and then taking the cling film off and putting them straight into our ovens. So let's release our dough. Look at it, it's so nice and big and puffy, which is just what we want. Release it from its cling film prison. Oh, it started to stick a little bit to the cling film. Not so good. Right, flip it out onto our surface. Now, we want to get this well covered in flour. Where's my rolling pin? Make sure you flour your rolling pin because that's really going to stick. Flour the surface of your dough, and we're going to roll it out nice and long and quite thin. Oh, just taking a bit of dough out with my finger. I'm going to put more flour out so that it doesn't stick. This is going to be quite a lot of croissant. Right then, we're rolling. We're getting rid of a bit of that air, but don't worry. We're going to be giving it time to prove and time to get more lovely air in it once we've shaped our croissants. So don't worry that you're rolling out all of the air. Right now. Keep rolling it, and I want you just to roll it out nice and long. We don't want it too thick, we want to roll it like wide. We want it pretty long, as if you're about to do another fold. Like so. And then we're only going to roll it widthways a little bit. You only want it a little bit wider, and I shall show you why. We are going to be cutting this into 2 lengths. Right down the middle. So we only want it kind of wide enough so that we can get the 2 lengths out of it really. Try and keep it as even as possible. We can chop off the ends though in a bit, which will make it even more even. Even more even. There we go. Right, let's get a bit more length out of this. You want it relatively thin really, because it's going to puff up quite a lot. Oh. Now, because it's had the night to rest, it's not quite as springy as it was, which is good, because sometimes when the dough hasn't rested properly, it springs right back up and shrinks back, and we don't want that. Now, I'm going to turn this down to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Get my dough cutter. You can use a pizza cutter for this, it works really well. And I'm just going to try and cut straight down the middle of this dough trying to get it as even as possible. I'm going to go right through the middle, just like so. And we're going to try and separate those two sheets out, making sure that it hasn't stuck to the table too much. It's a nice way of peeling it away if it has. And we can shuffle that one out of the way so that we can concentrate on this one to start with. And again, I'm going to try and make sure that it hasn't stuck to the table, peel it away from the surface. Okay, now what we want to do is what I'm quite pleased with. See how this has got a bit of like a diagonal line? A bit of a diagonal line at the edge because we are going to cut this into triangles. I'm going to cut it into triangles this way, just like this, so that you've got two long edges and one short edge. So it kind of goes a bit like this, and just work your way along. You can be a bit more precise if you want to and measure out your marks along. But I'm trying to just, for speed, kind of do it by sight, and then hopefully this will work out. It's not quite worked out on this end, but that's not a problem. Right, and then what we do to shape our croissant, I'm going to move all these out of the way, and we'll do them one at a time, because this is essentially the most difficult part. The cutting is not too bad. So what we do now is I want you to position your croissant with its narrower end towards you, and then stretch the peak up a little bit so it's quite long. And then we're going to roll it from this end, roll it all the way up, nice and tightly. Just like that. Pull those ends around, give them a pinch, and that there is your croissant. Now you're going to continue this with all of your triangles. If you would like to make pain au chocolat, then put your chocolate, this is quite a chunky one, put your chocolate in this area here, and then you can roll it up. Stretch this one a bit more, because it's a bit of a chunky one. And roll, and you'll be pulling these kind of edges out a little bit as I roll. Roll it up. You don't even have to curve it around if you don't want to. You can just leave it long, just like that. I have some long croissant. Now carry this on, this process, spreading out and stretching your dough, rolling it nice and tightly. Roll, one little roll like that, and then tucking that peak under. So when you put it to rest, you want to make sure that that piece is tucked underneath. It's going to stop it from springing out as it proves. Now, as you're placing it on your baking tray, make sure you're leaving plenty of room between each one, because they're going to puff up and rise as they rest. Again, we just roll, 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 roll. Just like that. Now, if you fancy making something a bit different with your croissant, let's say a pain au raisin or something like that, you make a pain au raisin in a similar way to how you make cinnamon buns. You spread your custard filling and your raisins along your dough, and you roll it in one giant sausage. Then you chop your sausage up and it gives you a little circular piece of pastry. So if you feel like doing that, carry on. Make some different things with your croissant dough. You can make pain au chocolat. We'll use this for a bit of pain au chocolat, shall we? And I'll show you how to do that. I think I've even got some chocolate in here. Yes, I do. Perfect. So, for your pain au chocolat, you need a rectangular piece of dough, which I happen to have right here. Now, we're going to square it up a little bit. I don't like wasting dough, but we want it to be precise, just to show you how to do this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to place your chocolate, try and get a piece out here. We are going to chop our chocolate first, so it's quite tin, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take, in fact, you can just do it like this. So, ideally, what we want to do is cut our chocolate lengthways. Now, I should not be doing this on the kitchen surface, should I? Chopping board, where are you? I'm going to use a plate. It's going to be noisy, but we want to chop our chocolate. There we go. So that kind of size is absolutely fine. That'll work well. We're going to put it, in fact, I'm going to chop it into two. You know how some of the pan au chocolat has like two rolled into one? Is that how it is? No, it isn't, is it? It's just one big one. Right, there we go. And then we just roll, and that's it. Just roll it up like that. That's it, pan au chocolat. Now that's going to puff up lovely in the oven. I'm going to press down that seal a little bit on the other side, and that's it. Leave it to rest with the others. Oh, ta-da! Right then, continue to shape your croissant dough into your lovely croissants. Then I want you to cover up your baking tray. Make sure you've left plenty of room between each one. They're even a little bit close. Leave plenty of room between each one, so you'll probably need a couple of baking trays. Then cover this with some oiled cling film, or pop them in a shopping bag where there's a bit of air, and leave them out in a warm area to prove for about an hour and a half. And I shall see you in just a moment to show you about baking them. And that's all you need to know. So keep shaping your croissant. Leave them out to prove for about an hour and a half. They're still quite cold from the fridge, so they need time to warm up. And I shall see you back when we're going to bake them. You will need an egg beaten, because we're going to do an egg glaze. So just bear that in mind. Get yourself an egg out and give it a little bit of a beating before we put them in the oven. Great. See you in a mo. Ta-da. And we're back. Hi everyone. So what you need to do first of all is get your oven on and heating up to 180 degrees. Make sure it's well preheated before you put your croissant into the oven. It's very important to preheat your oven whenever you are baking. The reason being, an oven, when you put it on first, blasts heat out full pelt to heat up the oven. Then when it gets to the desired temperature, it then lowers the temperature to maintain it. So although you might think you're putting it in a cold oven as it heats up, you're actually putting it in a very, very hot oven where the heat's just coming from one area, and you'll get lots of burnt cakes and whatnot if you do that. So get your ovens on, preheat them to 180 degrees. I've already got mine on. I'm still in my pyjamas, so sorry about that. But I've done my Joe Wicks, and the sun is now blasting onto the kitchen, and it is very, very warm in here. Here are my croissants. They have been out and resting for an hour, just over an hour. Now, it's very hot in this kitchen, but if it's a bit of a cooler day, then I suggest you leave them out for more like an hour and a half to 2 hours, or until they puff up and you can see a drastic change in the size of your croissants. My kitchen is very, sticky. My kitchen is very warm, so mine have puffed up marvellously in just 1 hour, and I don't want them to overproof. So I'm going to pop them in the oven. Right, now we need to do an egg wash, because we want that lovely, shiny, lovely crisp finish on the top of our croissant that we are used to. So I'm going to egg wash the ones that I'm going to put in the oven. But I'm only going to put half in the oven. The reason being, I'm going to freeze the other ones. I'm going to freeze them before I bake them. That way, I'm going to wrap them up individually. That way I can take like 1 hour at a time and have fresh croissants every morning. So they freeze really well, and if you want to freeze them, feel free. Right, which ones shall I bake? And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, very even. I'm gonna bake these ones. They're already uncovered. Makes life simpler. So, you want to crack your egg into a little bowl. Give it a little bit of a whisk so that you break down the yolk and the white together. Just like that. And then we are going to brush the surface of each of our croissants with egg. And it's as simple as that. Make sure you don't miss any areas. Be gentle so that you don't crush the croissant and knock any air out of them. There we go. Let's get them all nicely covered in egg wash. Now you can, if you want to, sprinkle the top of your croissant with, I'm just going to lift up this paper, with a little bit of sugar if you want to as well. Have a little bit of a sugary finish. But I'm just going to egg wash mine so that they are nicely coated, and then I'm putting them in the oven at 180 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes, but I'm going to keep an eye on them, and once they're all puffed up and they're nice and golden brown, we can take them out, and you are going to keep an eye on them for me. I'm going to set you up in front of the oven so that you can watch them bake. So once your oven is heated up to 180 degrees, pop them in, set yourself a timer for 10 minutes so that you can have a look at them part way through. But altogether it should be about 15 minutes for baking. Right, they're going to go in the oven. Dun, da, da, da. In they go. Right, I'm going to bring you over and then I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. Let's watch our croissants bake. Dun, da, da, da. And we're back. Hi everyone, look, I'm dressed. I've had a wash, I'm ready for the day, and my croissants are ready. So let's whip them out the oven. Now in all honesty, my croissants have had like 25 minutes in the oven. They were still very pale, so I just left them in there, and that's exactly what you need to do. If they're looking quite pale, not like what you used to from a croissant, then just leave them in there for a little bit longer. Put them in, set your alarm for 5 minutes each time though, so that you don't leave them unattended for too long. Right, let's get them out, see how they look. Dun, da, da. Now, my croissants are looking a little bit flat, and I think the problem is that I slightly overproofed them. As I was saying, my kitchen was very warm this morning, and so as they were resting after I'd shaped them, I think they may have overproofed a little bit. But they will still be delicious, and we can have a look at the texture inside in just a mo. I'll pop them all onto a cooling tray. These ones have stuck together even. They smell really good, even if they are a bit flat. Concerned with this chocolate one, look, it's like a pancake. Ooh, nice and brown on the underneath there. And plus it's stuffed with chocolate, so that one's still going to taste great no matter what. And I can kind of see which ones are my chocolate ones as well. So I'm just going to put them all out onto the cooling tray, cooling rack, and then we'll have a little look at them. Okay. I decided against freezing all of them, and I baked my other batch. So they're baking away in there. Oh. Right then, let's check on our croissant. Now they're really hot. I need to get like a little plate and a little knife.
crispy. Yeah, they're a little bit flat, but ow, ow, ow! I'm breaking them apart. But they're nice and flaky. Ooh. But yes, ever so slightly overproved. They're a little bit heavy. They taste really good though. They taste just like croissant. Amazing! I'm quite happy with that. I mean, this is the problem with any sort of bread concoction. Many hours of baking, sometimes they don't turn out perfect. However, still got something really tasty. Something to be proud of that we created. Oh, and I've got another batch in the oven and we can see how they turn out. But there we go. Essentially, that is how you make croissant. Make sure you don't overprove them because they end up a little bit flat, but they still taste amazing. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know how you get on with your croissant. Hopefully it's not too hot on Saturday when I post this and you'll get on a little bit better. But send me pictures of your completed croissant and enjoy. Ta-da! Pancake croissant. It's a new thing I've created. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all very soon.